So I'm going to be that person. So I was just listening to the Omnibus Project. You know, if you don't know what the Omnibus Project is, check it out. It's by Ken Jennings, who's the guy who won a stupid amount of money on Jeopardy. I think he holds the top prize ever on Jeopardy, and John Roderick, who's like an indie rocker. Anyways, I don't know how they're friends. I don't know how they met, but I just finished listening to their episode on cursive handwriting. And, you know, for me, it's an interesting topic because I'm left-handed. And as a lefty, cursive sucks. Like, because your letters are supposed to slant a certain way and all this stuff because, you know, 95% of the population is right-handed. But short, funny story, like side story, is that my maternal grandmother was born left-handed. But because she was going to elementary school in the 1920s, they forced her, like physically forced her, because, you know, it was the 1920s and they could get away with hitting children, to use her right hand. So today she does almost everything right-handed. She's still alive. She's 98 years old. Grandma, you know, she's 98. She doesn't do a lot anymore, especially with her hands because of arthritis. But, you know, up until her arthritis got really bad, she would do everything left-handed, basically, except for right. And her penmanship was always like perfect. And it's interesting because in the episode of the Omnibus, they pointed out a distinction that I'd never realized, is that I always thought what I'd learned cursive in school was the Palmer method. But in reality, what I had learned in school was Danelian, which is like a simplified Palmer. Either way, as a left-handed person, it sucks. And like, I've always wanted that beautiful flowing, like, think like Spencerian script. I've always wanted that beautiful flowing Spencerian handwriting. But like, as a lefty learning Danelian, okay, that like did not help my thing. As a lefty learning Danelian, it's always, you know, jagged and staggered, and like, you know, because as a left-handed person, instead of pulling the pen across the page, which is what gets those really flowing lines, as a lefty, you're pushing the pen along the page. So, so when you write right-handed, you're dragging the pen along behind your hand. So you're pulling the pen across the paper. But as a left-handed person, because the pen is in front of your hand, not behind your hand as you write, you're actually pushing across the page. And so the mechanics of it are completely different. So, you know, I learned cursive in the mid-90s using the Danelian method. I mean, I did well enough that, you know, I passed that segment of 4th grade. But my handwriting was never great. And my print was always much better because print, you know, but it's funny, you know, today when I write, I do actually do mostly cursive. It's weird, but I do this weird, like modified cursive that like I made myself, where what I do is, like, a lot of the capital letters are print or block letters, and a lot of the lowercase letters are cursive, but they're like more Palmer than Danelian, because I looked up Palmer and I'm like, oh, Palmer looks so much better. Anyways, so, you know, in high school, I still, you know, so I am old enough that technology had not completely overtaken school yet. When I was a kid, you know, only the final, when I was in high school, only the final draft was required to be typed. Everything else could be turned in handwritten. Like, I turned in, you know, there was one paper I had to write in like 11th grade, which was junior year, where I literally did like 6 drafts, and then all 6 drafts were handwritten, and then the final one was typed on the computer. You know, and that was like 2004, 2005. So, you know, not that long ago, but long enough ago, right? Because I've been out of high school for 13 years now. And in college, I actually had, through disability services, I actually had as part of my disability plan as someone with ADHD that I could type my notes instead of handwriting my notes because, because like some professors, when I was in college, didn't allow you to have a laptop out in class. So like I had a thing in my file that said even if the professor did not allow laptops or tablets or whatever, I could have it. But actually over the course of college, I realized that I retained stuff better handwritten. For some classes, I still did the type notes simply because that was the only way to keep up. But for a lot of classes, for a lot of like the slower classes, like the smaller classes, like I'm not talking like the big lecture classes. For the big lecture classes, I totally typed my notes. But for the smaller, like, when I was in the 300 and 400 level classes, my final like year and a half, when it's like 10 or 12 people in a class, I totally took paper notes because the class moved slow enough that I could actually take those paper notes. And so it really depended on the teacher and the teaching style and what the class was and stuff. But it's interesting. I find myself going back to paper a lot. Even though I use a computer for my work all the time, and I have a laptop and I have a phone, I don't really have a tablet. I mean, I have a Nook, but I don't really have a tablet that I use. Because, I don't know, I just don't see the point. I have a laptop that is a touchscreen, so why do I need a tablet? And when I say I have a laptop that is a touchscreen, I mean my laptop screen can flip 180 degrees all the way around and fold flat to use like as a tablet. So like, why would I have a tablet? Also, Apple tablets, like the iPads, are ridiculously expensive. I refuse to pay that much money for something. Because if I'm going to spend $1,000 on something, I'm going to go get a laptop. Like, I'm not going to get a tablet. I'm going to get a real computer if I'm going to spend that much money on something. So like, I find myself at work taking paper notes because I find that if I write something down, like physically handwrite it, I'm more likely to remember it. And maybe it has to do with ADD or the ADHD or whatever. Now it's ADHD, but when I was diagnosed, it was just ADD. But, maybe it has something to do with that, and that the physical motion of writing is what really allows me to remember stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but the podcast episode just really made me think about this, that, hey, I still actually handwrite a lot. Like a lot. One of the few things I don't handwrite at all, simply for editing purposes, is when I'm writing. And when I say writing, I mean like working on my fan fiction or what I hope to be a real novel. Because I have a lot of stories going. I did NaNoWriMo for which is National Novel Writing Month. I did that for 8 years. I did that from 2010 until 2008 through, because 2008 was the first year. I managed to win every year I did it by the skin of my teeth, but I won it. And by won, I mean I wrote 50,000 words. Not good 50,000 words, but I wrote 50,000 words. I started in 2008, that was my first year, and then I did it up through after college. It was after college. Let's see, 2014, 2015? I think I did it in 2015. But anyways, I did it for a very long time, and I kind of want to do it again. I might go do it again this year. It's in November. It's 50,000 words and 30 days go. But anyways, so when I'm doing that kind of writing, I use a specific program called Scrivener that I found out about through NaNoWriMo. It's put out by a company called Literature and Latte, and it's very good. I mean, I use this to write papers in college. And when I say papers, I mean 20-page research papers, because you can put images in, you can put PDFs in, you can put all your crap for a paper or a research project or something in one file. And so, I think it's really good. I really like it. It's easy. There is a bit of a learning curve to it. It's not an app, or it's not a program that you can learn in 20 minutes, but the basics are fairly easy to get, and it's really good. I really love it. It's available for both Windows and Mac. I don't know how this became a commercial for Scrivener, but I absolutely love it. But anyways, I've written fan fiction in that thing. I've written short fiction for college in that thing, and I'm working on what I hope to be a novel in that thing. Spoiler, it's fantasy, because that's like fantasy and sci-fi, but like classic fantasy and sci-fi is like my favorites. Like I'm talking like Dragon Riders of Pern and Dune and, you know, like that classic sci-fi kind of thing. I mean, I do like more modern sci-fi too. Don't get me wrong, like I've read like a bunch of the Star Wars novelizations and the Star Trek novelizations and fantasy. Like I really like the Mercedes Lackey 500 Kingdoms and Elemental Masters series. Both of those are really good. And like Pern is one of those ones that it kind of straddles the line. It's got just enough science that I think it falls into the science fiction category, but it's also got telepathic fire-breathing dragons. But the telepathic fire-breathing dragons are explained because science. So it's one of those ones that straddles the line. The earlier books are problematic, and after her son took over, it's something else. But the original Anne McCaffrey novels I really like. Again, they're problematic, but they're also a product of their time, so you have to read them with the thought in the back of your mind is these were written in the 60s. So, like, you know, you got to keep that in mind. I really like Dune, and Dune is one of those sci-fi series where there's just enough science to hold everything together, right? The only reason it's sci-fi is because he needed a way to get people between planets in a time frame to allow plot to happen, right? So, like, but the book I've been working on for a while, it's actually one of my NaNoWriMo projects that I've pulled. I think I actually have something here, and I want to work on it. It's modern fantasy, and I've got the first, like, 5-6 chapters are pretty solid. And then I have like an outline of what I want to happen, and I have bits and pieces of it. But I'm already at like the first half dozen chapters, and then all the other bits and pieces come to a total of, let's see, I'm at like 70,000 words right now with just that. So, and I had an idea for a sequel. So, like, you know, I really need to get off my butt and write this thing. But, you know, that's the one thing I don't handwrite actually is the fiction, because then it's harder for me to edit, because like if I'm on the computer, I can go in and I can change things very easily. Oh, and Scrivener, the one good thing about Scrivener is that you can take a snapshot of your work and it'll save it, and then as you like make edits, if you like make a change you don't like, you can roll back. So like you can roll back. So like that's one thing I love about Scrivener is the rollback feature. Take a snapshot, do your edits. If you don't like it, you can just undo everything you just did without hitting the undo a stupid amount of times or having different copies of the file. So that's part of the reason why I like it so much. But so, you know, so like when I'm taking notes at work, when I'm writing a quick note, you know, I do that all by hand, but my handwriting's not great. I would love to have, like I said at the very beginning of this rant, which is almost at 15 minutes now, I would love the like, you know, very flowy, very fluid, like Spencerian style script. But unfortunately, as a lefty, like unless I taught myself to write right-handed, which actually I can write right-handed, wouldn't have to teach myself, I can do it. I have to teach myself that style of cursive, but I actually can totally write right-handed. I've always been able to. I can't write with both hands at the same time. That I can't do. But I can write legibly with both hands. Used to drive my teachers nuts. Because, like, I'd get bored in class and I'd start writing with my right hand. Because it takes more mental energy because I'm not right-handed. I just have good enough fine motor control that I can do it. So, anyways, that's my rant about cursive. I still actually use it a fair bit, but I don't use a lot of the capital letters because they look really stupid. And, like, the Q, the capital Q. It's like a freaking, you know, it's like a uppercase squiggly 2, and like every time I see it I have to like stop and be like, wait a sec, is that a Q or is that a 2? Like, I hate it. It's the worst. It's like, who the hell thought this was a good idea, right? Like, ugh. And by the way, if you guys want to know what Spencerian is, it's the font the Coca-Cola logo is in. I'm serious. It's the font the Coca-Cola logo is in, which actually I have it on my cup for McDonald's right here. So that is Spencerian right there. That's Spencerian. It's like more squiggly. But if you see like pages and pages written in, because it was taught for like 200 years, It's just gorgeous. And I wish my handwriting looked that nice, but, I think because I'm a lefty, my handwriting is always just going to be, blah. But, but it's funny, as someone who works with computers, has a smartphone, writes constantly, it's amazing how much I actually still do by hand. It's just one of those things where you don't really think about it until it's brought to your attention, and then you think about it and you're just like, huh, right? So, I hope you've enjoyed my car rant. Sometimes I don't record these rants and I just do them to myself in the car. Don't worry, I've been perfectly safe while driving. My phone is in a rest. I've had at least one hand on the wheel this whole time. I have actually not, you can't tell it's the sunglasses, but I have not been making eye contact with the camera. I have in fact been looking straight out the windshield the whole time. I know you can't tell because of the sunglasses, but I need the sunglasses to see, so I'm not going to take them off. But anyways, thank you for listening to my rant. I'm pretty sure that nobody's going to watch this, but I'm going to throw it up on my vlog channel anyways, because that's what this is. It's a vlog. It's not makeup, it's not any of that stuff, but it's a vlog. So I'm going to throw it up, and thank you guys for watching. And hopefully I have a get ready with me this coming week.